So what happens when the whole idea of justice gets turned on its head? I mean, what if a crime is solved, but the outcome just doesn't feel right? And on the flip side, what about a crime that never gets solved at all, leaving this wound that just can never ever heal? Today, we're going to look at two very different murders, an ocean apart, that really force us to ask some tough questions.
Right. Let's just get straight to the heart of it. This is the paradox we're exploring. You've got a phantom, someone who commits an absolutely horrific crime and just vanishes. Poof, gone. And then you have convicted murderers who not only get caught, but are actually given a chance to start completely over. So which one of these stories tells us more about justice? Let's find out.
Okay, so first, we're heading to Tokyo. It's the eve of the new millennium, and a crime is about to happen that is so brutal, so utterly strange, that it has haunted Japan for more than 20 years. This is the story of the Setagaya family murders, and the ghost who got away with it.
Meet the Miyazawa family. You know, they were a pretty normal family getting ready for New Year's. Mikio and Yasuko, the parents, and their two little kids, 8-year-old Nina and 6-year-old Rei. But on this night, their quiet suburban home was about to become the scene of one of Japan's most infamous unsolved crimes. And the timeline here is just chillingly simple. They go out shopping, they come home, they settle in for the night. Around 11:30, a neighbor hears a loud noise, a thud, but, you don't think much of it. It's not until the next morning, when Yasuko's own mother, Haruko, comes over and lets herself in with a spare key, that the absolute horror inside is discovered.
Now this is where it gets really weird. The killer's audacity, it's just off the charts. He didn't just kill them and run, no. He stayed in their house for hours. He ate their ice cream, he used their computer, he might have even taken a nap. And he left behind a mountain of evidence, DNA, fingerprints, even his clothes. But every single clue was a dead end. Shoes only sold in South Korea, sand in his bag from a US desert. It was like he was a ghost, leaving traces from all over the world but from nowhere at all.
And listen, the police threw everything they had at this. Just think about this number for a second. 250,000 investigators. Over 2 decades, they followed thousands of tips, processed tons of evidence, and after all that time, they have never even identified a single suspect. The killer, this phantom, is still out there.
And that brings us to the real heart of this, the human cost. For 25 years, Mikio's mother has been visiting their sealed-off home, just waiting. Waiting for an answer, waiting for justice that has never come. It's the definition of a cold case and a family's life sentence of not knowing.
All right, now we're going to completely switch gears. We're heading across Asia to India for a story that is the absolute opposite of the first one. Here, the killers aren't phantoms at all. They're caught, they're known, they're convicted. But believe me, the story of what justice looks like here takes an even stranger turn. Meet Priya Seth.
So Priya's story is just this rapid spiral down into crime. She dropped out of college, chasing this flashy, glamorous lifestyle. And what started out as some catfishing scams on dating apps just got worse and worse. I mean, we're talking an attempted ATM heist, then blackmail. Each crime was more serious than the last, until it all led to the final, inevitable step, murder.
So, she and her boyfriend, along with another guy, came up with a plan. Priya had been chatting with this man, Dushyant Sharma, on a dating app. She thought he was super rich. So the plan was simple. Lure him over, kidnap him, and demand a big ransom to pay off some debts.
But the whole thing just fell apart, immediately. Turns out, Dushyant wasn't a rich businessman at all. He was just a regular guy. When his family couldn't pay the ransom, the kidnappers just lost it. Their frustration boiled over, and for money they were never going to get, they killed him. It was completely senseless.
Now, unlike the Setagaya case, this one was solved fast. Priya and her accomplices were arrested, tried, and convicted. So justice served, right? Case closed? Well, not exactly. This is where the story takes a turn that makes you question everything you think you know about punishment.
And here it is, the paradox laid bare. In Tokyo, you have a family waiting a quarter century for an answer that will probably never come. In India, you have the killers behind bars. So on the surface, it seems pretty obvious which one is justice, right? But let's take a closer look at what behind bars actually meant for Priya Seth.
Okay, so Priya was eventually moved to something called an open jail. Now, this isn't your typical prison. The whole idea is rehabilitation, not just punishment. Think of it like this. There are no giant walls, no armed guards. Inmates can actually leave during the day to go to work, make their own money, and pretty much start rebuilding their lives while they're still serving their sentence. And it was in this open jail that Priya Seth, a convicted murderer, met another inmate, a man named Hanuman Prasad. And guess what? He was also serving a life sentence for murder. He'd conspired with his lover to kill her husband and some of her family members so that they could be together.
And here it is, the absolute jaw-dropping conclusion to this whole thing. In 2023, these two convicted murderers, Priya and Hanuman, were granted parole from their open jail so they could get married. They had a wedding, a real wedding, with all the rituals celebrating this new life that they were building together. So, let's bring these two stories back together. We have one case where a killer is free, just mocking the very idea of justice. And we have another case where the system's focus on rehabilitation literally gives two killers a wedding and a shot at happiness. What on earth does this tell us about what we even want from our justice system?
And this table just lays it all out so perfectly. In one column, you have the murder of a family, a killer who's never been found, and victims' relatives who are just stuck in this endless limbo. In the other, you have multiple murders, killers who are caught, but who are then given a second chance at life and love, while their victims' families are just devastated. The contrast is just unbelievable.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What's the real point of justice? Is it retribution? You know, hunting down that phantom killer no matter how long it takes? Or is it rehabilitation? A system that says even people who have taken a life deserve a chance to build a new one. Which of these two stories, a family's endless wait or a wedding between two killers, shows us the deeper, more unsettling truth about what justice really is?